Hello from Tokyo. Mestre Vibes here. I want to take a moment to invite you all to join us on March 27th at 5:30 p.m. Tokyo time to watch our first Mestre Vibes YouTube live streaming and crowdfunding event. Since I started posting about this event, I've been getting a lot of questions about what I'm doing and what's going on. First of all, to my friends and family, I'm fine. We are all good here in Japan. We are just waiting for this to pass like everybody else. I think people have been curious because once I started doing Patreon, and many people who don't know what it is, they think it's a charity project, right? A charity program, but it's not. I'll get into that more later. I hope by the end of this video, I can give you a better understanding of everything I'm doing and plan to do as an artist educator. Before I get into all that, I want to share a little bit about my life here in Japan. For those who've known me for a long time, this will just be a quick recap. When I came to Japan in 1999, I came to teach capoeira and create a cultural center or a cultural space. When I came here, I thought it'd be just like LA or New York, and they would have the support and the community support and the government support to do all these kind of things. But I was wrong. It doesn't exist here. And people who know me know that Japan's just a different way of doing things. So everything I've done here, I've pretty much had to do from scratch and by my own belief in myself and doing what I do. I gotta honestly say, I love my adopted country and I'll be here for a long time still, as long as I can. Today with Capoeira Zoador Academy and Samba Chiseria Lifehouse, my goal is now a reality. Which brings us to now and what's next. When the pandemic hit, it really affected people businesses, such as mine. Fortunately, we are okay, and I can thank the people around me for being there and supporting me and helping us through all these difficult times. As anyone who knows me, I'm not the type of person to just sit down and wait for change. So I use this pandemic downtime to think and plan about where I want to go from here, what I want to do in the future. I set new goals and made maps on how to reach them. This is where Patreon comes in. First, let me give you a quick idea of what it is. Patreon is not a charity site, okay? Patreon is a support system, a support site for artists and people who create. When I first heard about Patreon, I read about the Da Vinci story. And this helped me to really understand what's going on. So, what do I mean by the Da Vinci story? When Da Vinci was doing and making and creating, he had patrons who supported him so that he could focus on creating, which is what he did, and inventing. They weren't supporting certain projects, they were supporting the person. So by supporting the person, he was free to do what he did best, and that was invent, create, and do. And Patreon is doing that for people like me in our modern times. I feel so blessed to be growing Capoeira Zoador Academy and to be sharing the beauty and the health benefits of capoeira. With our Samba Chiseria Lifehouse, we not only serve delicious Brazilian food, but we have a space that we gladly use to open events for galleries, for photo exhibitions, for the community get-togethers, and of course, live music from the international and local artist community. It's a space to create. So here we are. I'm really looking forward to our first Mestre Vibes live streaming event next week on March 27th at 5:30 p.m. Tokyo time. So check your time zones. Not only are we going to put on an amazing show, something we haven't been able to do because of the whole pandemic, but this is also a great chance for us to focus and get some support by crowdfunding from people around the world for what we do, and more importantly, what I'm going to be doing in the future. My thinking during this time has never been, let's just survive and wait out the pandemic. My thinking's always been, let's not just survive and wait it out, but let's be ready to take things to the next level. Okay? So what is taking to the next level mean, and what does it take to reach the next level? First, at our live streaming event on March 27th, our first Mestre Vibes CD. Mestre Vibes is just a really cool project I've been wanting to do for years, and I learned how to study and record and mix and master and a lot of different things. By the amazing collaboration of my good friends such as Marcelo Kimura, Betty Otake, Paul Dwyer, Dario Sakamoto, and of course, Mestre Linguiça, we were able to put this album together. We'll also be releasing Capoeira Zoador Volume 4. Both of these will be available starting March 27th on our capoeira.jp homepage for digital download. I'm also happy to announce that my second book on the issues in the international Capoeira community will be also available from March 27th. Fingers crossed. It's looking good. If you're interested in supporting us, you can purchase these from our website directly and support us in what we do directly. Now, here's where Patreon comes in. Like those supported creators over history, our Patreon supporters support me directly to do what I do best, create. The best way to think about this is my Capoeira Zoador Academy supports itself, right, by student enrollment. And Samba de Sereia Lifehouse supports itself through events and through the restaurant. Right now it's a little difficult, but we're okay still. And we're just waiting so that things open back up and we can get back to work and get all those amazing events back out for you guys. Not just inside, but outside. But for example, these 2 new CDs and books and the new book were all produced out of my pocket. I have no regrets and love every part of it. But as I said, I want to take it to the next level. Of course, supporting us with one-time digital download is much appreciated. Don't get me wrong. If you'd like to buy one of our new CDs, please download it from the March 27th. But if you'd like to become part of our online community, which is our Patreon community, which monthly supports what we do, take a look at our Patreon page. Also, because as a Patreon supporter for as little as $5 a month, seriously, think about it. Back in the day, I used to always tell the story, we would buy VHS cassettes about that big and pay $50 20 years ago for one Capoeira cassette, right? VHS, or a CD was like $25. So just right now, I'm already putting out a lot of value in Patreon, and thanks to the Patreon people, I'm able to do more. All of the digital downloads that I make and all of the new book coming out, that will also be available to all the people on Patreon. The stuff that I do at the high level for like Capoeira and stuff, that's for different people. But even as a $5 a month, supporter, you're going to get all of our CDs, all of our special behind the scenes, all these other things that I do that we can offer you. Why? Because I truly believe after 30 years of Capoeira, 20 years of doing what I do here, people know who I am. You guys know I'm here and I'm doing. I don't have to prove, well, I'd like to do this. You guys know me. So for as little as $5 a month or the price of a cup of coffee, here in Tokyo, right? Everything's expensive. You become a supporter and you can download the CDs, all 4 Capoeira Zoador CDs, all my first book, The Path of Capoeira, and my new book coming out next week. All of that I will always be putting on some at Patreon so that you guys can get. Not to mention a lot of fun extra stuff. Okay? Why? Because you're taking the risk in supporting me every month, making sure that I'm going to keep on my toes and do what I do best. So, if you want to become a Da Vinci or a supporter for Da Sukuri, sorry, I know it's been a long week, but you can support us through Patreon for as little as $5 a month. Of course, we have a $10 tier and we also have a $25 tier. Right now, I already put up my Path of Capoeira book on the Patreon so you can download it. And of course, if you have any questions, you can write me through Patreon and I'd be more than happy to answer them. Second, The new book coming out next week on the 27th will also be up there. I interviewed 10 international mestres who have a lot of experience and teaching, all the way from younger mestres like Mestre Vibes all the way to mestres like Mestre Boagente, to talk about what they see as the issues or the pros and the cons, the good and the bad of the international capoeira community. Why? Because I feel we're going to be in a new phase of capoeira after the pandemic. The pandemic has changed a lot of people's ideas and ways of thinking and hopefully how to appreciate things. And I'm hoping people appreciate capoeira much more. But I also want to be able to give a lot more. So my new book will also be available. Now, I'm also working on my dream project, and this is a big project. As many of you know, I have 2 master's degrees, both involved in Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Latino globalization of Brazilian culture. This is what I do. And I've always wanted to create a Capoeira University database. Patreon is fantastic for this kind of stuff. If you guys support me and I can get more support, I'll start doing more and more towards the Capoeira University. My dream would be to set up 8-week classes, just like an online university, but in a fun academic way. Everything you couldn't get from capoeira, from a personal relationship with your teacher, which is the most important thing. What I want to do is give you all the background and all the other things so you can have a better understanding the culture, the history, and the philosophy of capoeira. I want to produce music videos for the music that we produce and sometimes highlight just beautiful locations here in Japan. I want to be able to go to temples. I want to do this, and I want to put those videos together with a capoeira or a Brazilian swing, but here to share my passion of my adopted country, Japan. Okay? I want to produce artistic events for other artists such as painters, photographers, musicians, and so much more. Giving back to others for all the great opportunities life has given to me. I want to be able to support other capoeira instructors around the world, many of whom are in Asia. I want to continue to produce intercultural events to educate and enrich the world around me, especially in my area and here in Tokyo if I can, so that I can broaden the horizons of everybody. As you can easily imagine, these are projects that cost money. Over the last 20 years, I've been doing this, but only what I've been able to do out of pocket. But I want to take it to the next level. Now I hope to grow my community support, especially on Patreon or through buying our digital downloads, to do all these things more frequently and at a much better and higher level. Remember, for Patreon supporters, everything I do is included and so much more, as you guys are taking the chance on supporting me monthly. Just imagine all the travel expenses, artist fees, equipment costs, hours spent filming, recording, editing to get just one project done. It took me about 4 months to do both CDs. It was a lot of work. A lot of times going to the recording studio so that I can have a soundproof room, buying equipment, buying microphones, learning how to study all this stuff. Of course, it's amazing, but it takes time and money. Patreon helps to support all that. So if you're interested in supporting, please check our Patreon, the links below. I know I'm pushing it, but because it's just such a great thing. If you know me, you know I do what I say. Just by watching this video and taking the time to watch our event on March 27th, 5:30 p.m., Tokyo, Japan time, you're already supporting. Thank you so much for watching and supporting 2021. Here we come, Mestre Sukuri, Mestre Vibes.